Let's talk about Bill Goldberg for a minute. Bill Goldberg is going to be all over the newsletters here because, of course, everybody's wondering what's Bill going to do. At this point, he's not yet popped up for the WWF. He's been on the sideline for all of WCW's hiatus, if you will, here because, well, they're gone. TNA is here, though, in 2003. And, of course, Meltzer says Goldberg has said publicly he'll never work with TNA because of Vince Russo. But he specifically asked, or he said he was specifically asked by someone in the company, if he was open to the idea of doing a one-shot to cut a promo on Russo. And apparently Bill said, well, I'm open to the idea if the money was right. Of course, we're a startup company. We don't have that in the budget. Were there ever any substantial or serious discussions at all with Goldberg for TNA?
Not at this point. I think Dixie had a lunch with him several years later that I think you could classify on Dixie's part for sure substantial. I don't think on Bill's part, and it's strictly money.
Yeah.
Barry Bloom repped him all these years. Bill made a lot of money at WCW. He made a lot of money at WWE. Bill's a businessman first and foremost. So I never viewed any of the conversations with Bill substantial, strictly off of there isn't enough money there for Bill to come.
The other name that's thrown about who could help, get TNA to level up, it's Sting. And the Torch would say this, that TNA officials have reached out to Sting recently, but Russo's involvement in the company may hurt the company's chances of luring him in for an appearance. When asked by the UK Sun newspaper whether he preferred the ideas of Russo or Bischoff, Sting said, quote, I can say I never preferred Vince Russo's style ever. And man, this just brings me back to, and we've talked about it a lot, and I know that there may be some sort of update you want to share, or maybe not, maybe that's private, but when we got a guy like Goldberg saying, I don't want anything to do with Russo, we got a guy like Sting saying, nope, I did not prefer Russo style. And these aren't the only two. This is a polarizing figure, to say the least, whether it's Jim Cornette or Sean Waltman or a handful of other folks. And I'm just curious, from your perspective, did you ever start to wonder, is the juice worth the squeeze with Vince? Or did you just know, man, that's just wrestling?
Essentially just wrestling.
Yeah.
Nice way to say it. But in the fact that I think it would be an easy way for, and I'm just using Bill, or plug in any wrestler you want. I'm not coming there. I mean, Sean Waltman had a good relationship with my father, and he had issues with Vince Russo. And so was it really the money, or did he really want to come or not want to come, or was it Vince? But I always looked at it as wrestling. In 2002, 2003, we're talking about, Vince had his success at WWF, and then we'll say he didn't have his success at WCW. But who did have success at WCW? I was there in 99, 2000, till the door shut. So, if you want to put everything on Vince, that's just not really a reality. Did he make some, I'll call them mistakes or flaws, or maybe bad booking or bad angles? That happens all day, every day in our industry, because creative is subjective. But it goes without saying, just what you said, Sean Waltman, Sting, Goldberg, and several others, Mike Tenay, others that didn't, I think the easiest way is, and maybe if Mike Tenay would have sat down with me, and he did, but I'm just saying, I think his line of thinking from a logical perspective, does the good outweigh the bad, or does the bad outweigh the good? And in my delusional optimism, which I think is, as we've, I think we're up in episodes 90, Conrad, when I kind of look back, and I think it's cathartic for me that my delusional optimism sometimes was a blessing for me, and also sometimes it was a curse. And I think to this day, sometimes I'm not sure which it was, but those points were always in the back of my mind. Just the fact of getting Jim Cornette and Vince Russo to work together from time to time was maybe a challenge that I just said, I'm going to I'm going to get this done one way or another, because they're both valuable to the industry. Dutch is valuable. I always saw the best in my mind out of everybody.